Hope you're having an amazing day, and welcome to Dr. Q's Sport Management Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Q, also known as Ty, broadcasting from Baton Rouge. I'm thrilled to share today's compelling discussion about Esports' historic debut as a medal event at the 2023 Asian Games. Joining me is Willie, my friend and also my doctoral student. Together, we'll examine this milestone in competitive gaming and help you understand the significance of this milestone. Willie, thank you for being here to share your insights.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Q. I'm thrilled to chat about this. It's been quite a journey exploring how esports is evolving.
Absolutely. It's incredible to think about how esports has transformed from a niche hobby into a global phenomenon. And now, with its inclusion as a medal event in the Asian Games, it's taking a huge leap forward.
It really is. This inclusion marks a significant milestone, not just for esports enthusiasts, but also for the broader sports community. It challenges traditional notions of what constitutes a sport.
Exactly. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let's set the stage for our listeners. For those who might not be familiar, the Asian Games is one of the largest multi-sport events, sort of like the Olympics, but specifically for Asian countries. And this year, esports was featured as a medal event for the first time. That's huge.
Definitely, it means that esports athletes stood on the podium alongside traditional athletes, receiving medals for their countries. It's a form of validation and recognition at an international level.
So, Willie, you and I conducted a study to understand how the public perceived this monumental event. Can you give us an overview of what we set out to find?
Sure thing. We wanted to explore the public's opinions about esports being included in the Asian Games. Specifically, we analyzed social media discussions to identify major themes and understand how different stakeholders contributed to the overall value of the event.
And when we say stakeholders, who are we talking about exactly?
We're looking at a range of groups: the esports players themselves, fans, national teams, event organizers, even pop culture figures who got involved. Essentially, anyone who had a role in shaping the event's perception.
Got it. Now, I know we use some emerging NLP tools to analyze all this data. Let's break that down a bit. We utilize something called BERT Topic and GPT-4. For our listeners, can you explain what those are in simple terms?
Absolutely. Think of BERT Topic as a smart tool that helps us find common themes or topics in large amounts of text data. In this case, social media posts. It uses artificial intelligence to group similar discussions together. GPT-4, on the other hand, is an advanced language model that can understand and generate human-like text. We used it to fine-tune our analysis and get more accurate insights.
So we're essentially harnessing AI to sift through thousands of social media posts to see what people are saying about esports at the Asian Games.
Exactly. It allows us to handle vast amounts of data that would be impossible to analyze manually, and we can uncover trends and sentiments that might not be immediately obvious.
That's fascinating. So, what were some of the main themes that emerged from our analysis?
We identified 5 major themes. First, discussions around national representation and performance. People were really invested in how their country's teams were doing. Second, the event logistics and infrastructure, which includes everything from the venue to the scheduling. Third, player achievements, especially standout performances by popular athletes. Fourth, the recognition of esports as a legitimate sport. And finally, value co-creation with the esports community, which encompasses the discussions on competitions and specific games.
Let's unpack those. Starting with national representation, it seems like people were cheering for their countries just as they would in any other sport.
Absolutely. There was a strong sense of pride and national identity. For instance, fans from India, China, South Korea, and the Philippines were highly active in discussing their team's performances.
I remember seeing a lot of excitement around South Korea's team, especially with the participation of Faker, who is a legendary player in the League of Legends community.
Yes, and what's interesting is that there was a significant discussion about how winning a gold medal could grant players like Faker a military exemption in South Korea. That's a big deal and added another layer to the public's engagement.
That's a fascinating intersection of esports and national policy. Moving on to the event logistics and infrastructure. What were people saying?
People were talking about the venues, the countdown to event, ancillary events, and even official merchandise. There was a lot of buzz around how the event was organized and the overall experience it offered.
It sounds like the organizers put a lot of effort into making esports a prominent part of the games.
They did, and the use of social media marketing was strategic. By promoting these elements, they not only informed but also engaged the audience, enhancing the event's value.
Now, let's talk about player achievements. Besides Faker, were there other athletes that stood out?
Yes, players from various countries were celebrated. For example, China's team won the first esports gold medal at the Games, which was a historic moment.
That's right. And this goes to show how individual and team performances can captivate audiences and contribute to the event's success.
Exactly. Fans were not just interested in the games, but also invested in the stories of these athletes, their journeys, their challenges, and their triumphs.
Moving on to the recognition of esports, what were the public sentiments?
There was a mixed bag of opinions. Many people celebrated esports being included as a medal event, seeing it as validation. However, others still questioned its legitimacy as a real sport. So, while progress has been made, there's still work to do in terms of mainstream acceptance.
I suppose that's to be expected with any emerging field. It takes time for new concepts to be fully embraced by the broader public.
That's true. The inclusion itself is a significant step forward, and over time, as visibility increases and more people engage with esports, perceptions are likely to shift.
Finally, let's discuss the value co-creation with the esports community. What does that mean in this context?
Value co-creation refers to how different stakeholders contribute to and enhance the overall value of an event or product. In this case, the esports community, players, fans, teams, actively participated in discussions, shared content, and built hype around the competitions and specific game titles like League of Legends and PUBG Mobile.
So their engagement essentially amplified the event's reach and impact.
Precisely. It's a collaborative effort. The community's passion drives conversations, attracts more attention, and adds layers of meaning to the event.
This reminds me of how fan communities in traditional sports contribute to the atmosphere and cultural significance of events.
Exactly. Esports is following a similar path, building its own traditions and fan cultures.
Now, an intriguing aspect we found was the involvement of non-traditional stakeholders like pop culture celebrities. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, a notable example is the participation of Jackson Wang, a well-known pop star. He wrote and performed a theme song for one of the games featured at the Asian Games. His involvement brought in fans from the music industry, creating a cross-subcultural collaboration that enriched the event.
That's fantastic. It shows how esports can bridge different entertainment sectors and bring diverse audiences together.
Absolutely. It expands the ecosystem and opens up new avenues for engagement and value creation.
Reflecting on all this, what do you think these findings mean for the future of esports?
Well, the inclusion of esports in events like the Asian Games is a significant stepping stone toward mainstream acceptance. It highlights the potential for growth and the importance of recognizing esports as a legitimate form of competition and entertainment.
Do you think we'll see esports included in other major sporting events, perhaps even the Olympics?
It's possible. There are still challenges to overcome, particularly in terms of standardizing regulations and addressing concerns about the violent content in some games. However, the trajectory is promising.
And what about the role of technology in advancing esports? How do tools like BERT Topic and GPT-4 fit into this picture?
Advanced technologies play a crucial role not just in analyzing data, but also in enhancing the gaming experience itself. They allow us to understand audience sentiments, tailor experiences, and engage with fans in more meaningful ways.
It's an exciting intersection of technology and entertainment. Before we wrap up, any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Just that this is an exhilarating time for sports. The collaborative efforts of players, fans, organizers, and even those outside the traditional sphere are driving the industry forward. It's a testament to the power of community and innovation.
Well said. It's been great discussing this with you, Willie. Thanks for sharing your insights.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And thanks to our listeners for tuning in. We hope you found this conversation as enlightening as we did. Until next time.